difficult.
Okay.
We're going to go with the very standard way without any wires at all.
Well, I, as a complete novice, appreciate that, so thank you.
Okay, so I've rolled out again, just about 1 millimetre to 2 millimetres thick. This is number 7. Now, if you look on the base, it's hard to see on the camera, but on the base, it will tell you what number petal cutter you've got. But as a rule, it starts with the smallest number 1 right through to the largest at number 7. So I'm just going to cut 5 of these. If you roll your clay onto the glass mat and you just press the clay down a little bit, usually what you find is when you lift the clay up, it leaves the petal stuck down onto the mat, which is great. If it doesn't, you should just be able to pull it out quite easily, as long as you've cut through it properly. So we've got 3. We'll just do another couple of these. I'm not doing the leaves, but they're done in exactly the same way. So, you know, I'm showing you how to do the petals, so the leaves you can create just in the different colour clay.
Lovely.
Okay, so we've got 5. Now, on the back of the pack, it will give you a sequence for the petals. I'm changing this slightly just because I can.
Well, ironically, we've had an email in from Janice. So, Janice, you must have had a premonition there because you were asking about the instructions and whether the packs do come with instructions.
They do.
Kathryn's just said there is instructions there, but if you find your own way as well, there's no hard and fast rules really.
There isn't, no. There really isn't. Right, I'm going to use some of the veining mats because they have got that lovely embossed texture to them, so you can put that vein defect into the petals. So although that's, I believe that's an oak leaf, I'm just going to put that over the petal and I'm just going to press it. You could use your rolling pin, but actually just pressing in with fingertips should be enough. So I don't know if we can pick that up, but you've just got that.
Let me just see if I can tilt it. There we go.
Okay, so you've got that lovely texture. So I'm just going to do all 5 of the large ones. That's right. Okay, so I've done 2 more petals than I need, I think, there, but never mind, we'll see how this goes. So I'm just going to quickly finish veining, and I'll tell you what I've actually cut, which size cutters, but again, you can change it around a little bit. And if you're wanting to do something maybe for a card rather than a home decor piece, and you want a smaller flower, then just stick to the smaller cutters and don't make such a large flower.
And how much pressure are you applying at this stage with these pieces?
I'm just pressing lightly, to be honest. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on at all. So that is very flexible as well. And if you put the clay onto your mat, it's got that give in it. It just allows the right amount of pressure. So we've just got 3 little tiny bits for the front for the last layer. These small pieces were cutter number 1, and I've cut 3 of those. Cutter number 2, I cut 3. Cutter number 3, I've cut 5. Number 3 was that size, and I've cut 5 of those. Cutter number 4, I've actually cut 5, but I probably only need 3 of them, so I don't think I'm going to use all those.
Okay.
Now, I've gone a little bit off what it says on the packet because I've also then used petal number 5 and 7. I've not gone with petal number 6 at all.
Okay.
So you could get away with losing the largest one as well if you wanted a smaller flower. So just play about with these. It's very easy to find what you think is going to work for you on your project.
Okay.
Right, now because this is a white poinsettia, I don't know how to go with the green or the gold here. I'm going to go with this gold one.
Lovely.
These are just chalks. These are just artist chalks.
All right.
And I'm just going to use a craft knife just to scratch the surface, just to pick up some powder. So you can actually use the petal dust as well if you've got the cake decorating dust, you know, the petal dust that all the cake decorators use, you can use those. But this is just an acrylic chalk, a pastel. You can pick them up quite cheaply from the art shops or sometimes from these bargain shops as well. Use things like mica powders, eyeshadow, anything that's a powder you could actually use. So I'm just going to dust on, and this is only going to be very subtle, but I'm just dusting on a little bit of colour at the bottom of each petal. If the clay is very wet, I can see where there's a darker colour there. It's probably because the clay's got a wet spot in it, but that doesn't matter, it'll all come together. It doesn't matter if you've got some bits that look darker than others. You could go around the edge of the petals as well if you wanted to, just to go around the tips. But I am a bit of a glitter girl, so when my white poinsettias are dry, I usually glitter them up.
So any colour that you apply needs to be a dry colour, so could you be using things like your chalks, your pastels?
You can, any craft chalks that you've got, your pastels, brilliant. You can paint on as well. You could use a wet brush with the food colouring, but you're adding more moisture to the clay. And actually, the bigger flowers that you make, tend to be better if they've dried a little bit once you've cut the petals out, when you put them together. So this is going to make quite a large poinsettia.
Now, Kathryn, I can't believe we're down to the last 13 minutes of the hour.
No way.
Where's that time gone?
I have absolutely no idea.
I think we sprung a leak somewhere and someone's been running away.
We'll be okay for this flower, that's for sure, though.
That's good.
So it's going to come together quickly now. Once you've got all the petals cut and all the veining done, putting together is very, very quick. I've got a little bit of green on this brush, which I quite like because it's giving a different tone to it. So I'm just rushing through this, but there's no special clever techniques about this. It's just brushing a little bit of powder on. And again, I'm just going to push together the petals here. Now, because the clay's still got moisture in it, you don't need any glue. And this is much easier than wiring the petals, but if you want it to be really professional, so maybe start this way and then work your way up to be more professional and wiring each petal.
So groups of 5 we're seeing these.
Okay, so number 4, we're just going to do 3 of number 4.
Okay.
I'll get a little bit darker as we go into the centre. So again, very easy just to put together. I'm putting all the layers to the side. Now, another good tip, and I have got one in my van outside in the car park, and I forgot to bring it in. Have you seen those sort of eggshell foam mats that you get? Again, the sugar crafters use them to rest their flowers on to dry, and it gives the kind of an eggshell box shape, not an eggshell, an egg box shape, you know, with the, sort of the little dells.
Is it like the ones that you could put in the fridge that look after your eggs rather than an actual cardboard egg box?
No, a cardboard egg box would work, but you can get foam ones that the sugar crafters use for, it's for forming their flowers, so as they dry, it gives the petals movement. If you've got one of those, they're great for the clay. If not, you could use an egg box.
Okay.
We're not going to use anything because I haven't brought my mat in, and you can get away without it, but it does just help when you're trying to give shape to something. Okay, so I've just put together, that was number 2, and the tiny one's number 1, so we'll just pop those to one side, we don't need those. So we're going to build the flower together now. So I'm going to take the largest layer first. So if it had been in one of those forming mats, it would kind of cup it, so your petals would have more movement. But you can actually, as the clay starts to dry, manipulate it yourself. I'll show you that in a second. I'm just going to overlay, get the centres in the right place. Now this is going to be quite a big flower.
Beautiful.
But you'll see how it all comes together. So again, don't line your petals up, make sure they're overlapping each other. Okay, now this is my favourite bit at the end because you get the ball tool, and because these have been drying out, put your ball tool in the centre and press down.
Oh, look!
And you can see it all move, and then you can just manipulate those petals. So tweak them a little bit and bend them over to give it more movement. Another tip is if you've got some tin foil, make a ring, just scrunch it up.
Yes.
So you've got a nice tight scrunched piece of tin foil, so it's firm, and you could put a ring of foil underneath some of the inner petals. So I would run under there. If I just put that ball tool so you can see, if you do a ring of foil, it will help support them, and it just dries with more movement. While ever there's water in this clay, moisture in there, which there is quite a lot, even though it feels as though it's drying well, there's still a lot of moisture in there. So, you know, you want to give these petals movement. So I'm just tweaking these. So if you sat that into some sort of forming cup or an egg box or something like that, it would hold its shape.
I mean, it's incredible seeing it. I've watched you do it, but I still can't believe I've seen it created before my eyes.
So I will continue to tweak that after the show just to make sure that that lifts up. But for the centre, I think we've just got time to do the centre.
Lovely.
Again, if you were wiring these, you could make little cones and wire the centres together, but actually all we need is some little balls of clay for the centre. And I've got somewhere behind me, I think, some gold gilding wax. So if you stuck to just using the white clay, I would normally add that once these are dry. Okay. But a little bit of gold gilding wax into the centre would really, really finish this off.